Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Country with my recap of month 2 of the Batman family crossover, Fear State. So, where we had left off, things were not necessarily looking all that great. Oracle's system had been hacked. Gotham was descending into chaos. The magistrate, the magistrate forces were marching on Alleytown. Yeah, things could definitely be better for the Dark Knight and his family. So kicking things off, though, we've got Batman number 114. So the main story, basically Batman kind of has the primary stuff, but we've got some. Funnily enough, we actually have story points that from in other titles that are also equally important. So that's always a plus. So yeah, it turns out that Ghostmaker has transplanted the Insanity Collective to Queen Ivy's Eden, which is underneath Gotham City. Now, the magistrate had Simon Saint had turned his assistant into Peacekeeper Black, who's kind of a internal affairs peacekeeper, and sent him after Peacekeeper 01. Yeah, so that they fight it out throughout Gotham, and Batman also gets involved though. But Batman and the battle ends with the Peacekeeper Black being, as well as a bunch of magistrate drones being destroyed near where the battle went down. Meanwhile, Miracle Molly of the Insanity Collective has potentially figured out just what it is Scarecrow plans to do, and has come to tell Batman. We also, issue 114 of Batman, also have the final chapter of the Clown Hunter story. Red Robin saves him, and they decide to work together to fight Scarecrow, to help take down Scarecrow. So now we got Batman 115. Simon Saint is, of course, still processing the death of his assistant Ricardo at the hands of Peacekeeper 01. But he is told about some weird plant growth in the cave systems underneath Gotham, suggesting that perhaps Poison Ivy is underneath Gotham. And so, Saint decides that's the next move for the magistrate. An assault on Eden. But we also learned that Master Wise was a henchman of Jervis Tetch, Mad Hatter. And he actually tries to talk to Ivy. Peacekeeper 01 runs into the Scarecrow, while Batman and Miracle Molly are heading towards the Insanity Collective's base of operations. turns out that what Molly is afraid Scarecrow's going to do is use the mind machine to basically traumatize the entire population of Gotham City. And it seems like he's already taken the mind machine and left one of the Insanity Collective's members, Breaker, to defend what's left. But Molly's able to deactivate the enhancements that she gave him, and he's knocked out because he's strong, very strong. With the enhancements that she's been giving him, he could probably Superman might actually feel a hit from him. But Batman gives him a antitoxin for Scarecrow fear toxin. And we get confirmation. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what Scarecrow's trying to do, is hit the use the mind machine to give the entire population of Gotham City collective, a massive amount, hit them with a massive amount of mental trauma. But first, he's going to do that to Peacekeeper 01 to make him, quote unquote, even better. Our backup story is the beginning of Clueless, which focuses on the Batgirls. Cassandra Cain's being hunted. There's a doctored video showing her killing members of the magistrate. Stephanie goes to help her, but it does appear that the whole thing's been set up by Seer. But yeah, there's actually, and also kind of connected to the Batgirl story is one of the Batwoman story that appears in Urban Legends, which we'll get to. So our next book is Detective Comics number 1044. Where we left off here, Batman and the Mayor had ended up in the sewer system of Gotham. And Mayor Nakano had come across a crutch of eggs containing the parasite that had been infesting a late advisor of the mayor, Mr. Hugh Vile. Most of the issues actually narrated by Deb Donovan, talking about how the water is as bad as the politics in the city. But Batman is trying to help the mayor, but yeah, the mayor does not. The mayor blames Batman for the death of his partner. Back at City Hall, Batwoman shows up to take care of Nero 19, who has taken over, which is why Batman and Nakano are in the sewer. But yeah, Batwoman takes down Nero 19 and his people. And Batman does what he can to save the mayor, but the eggs hatch, and one of the parasites burrows into his skin, and Batman's forced to give him a massive electric shock. And the issue ends, in fact, with Batman trying to save the mayor. We've got a backup story, which kind of sets the stage for the upcoming Arkham Tower story. What Arkham Asylum is being renovated into a tower. We get a flashback to the original construction of Arkham Asylum, showing that there was even tragedy involved there. But Seems like that tragedy is repeating itself with the night workers at the construction site. Also, Bruce Wayne is trying to get Mayor Nakano to, if nothing else, change the damn name. The Arkham legacy should not be celebrated, after all. Which brings us to our next book. We've got Catwoman number 36. Where we left off, while dealing with the magistrate's forces in Alleytown, while Catwoman was dealing with magistrate's forces in Alleytown, Harley Quinn and the Gardener were on their way to Alleytown to rescue the Ivy Seed. Also, the magistrate has loosed yet another asset, the White Witch, an assassin that Selina had faced earlier in the or before Fear State began. Her armor allows her a degree of intangibility and invisibility, but Riddler, knowing that the Ivy Seed is in Alleytown, is of course trying to get Penguin to help him smuggle her out. Not for the good of the city, but because they can become rich by selling the Ivy Seed to Simon Saint. But yeah, but Harley and Ivy get help from Selina, and Riddler, I guess he's kind of sort of playing both. He seems to be working both with Penguin and Selina. But yeah, we get the beginnings of a big fight between the Magistrate forces, Catwoman, Harley, and the Gardener. And at least for the moment, they seem to have triumphed. But turns out there's not just one White Witch. There's a few. They do appear to all be clones, and the Magistrate's sending them in next. Now, this is actually how one of those ways where this actually does feel like a true crossover, because what happens in Harley actually takes place. Part of what happens in Harley Quinn takes place kind of after that. Well, after the events of Catwoman. But also, it should be noted that Harley told Kevin, her sidekick, as it were, to do what he can to keep people safe. He runs into, I think it's Bluebird, who's a Bat associate. The two of them work together against the Magistrate. Turns out that after dealing with the White Witch, the White Witches, yeah, Keepsake and his caucus of corruption show up. They're all just knockoffs of other bad villains. But and it becomes quite clear that they're being mind controlled by Keepsake. So but back with Kevin and, like I presume, Bluebird, turns out that the safe tower, formerly the remains of Arkham Asylum, is burning. as Hugo Strange is destroying all the evidence of what he was doing in the safe tower. And by destroying all the evidence, I also mean killing everyone who worked with him, or at least leaving them all there to die. Before swinging out of into the city in his Batman costume. But Kevin decides he's got to go. Sure, the people in the safe tower are bad people, but doesn't mean they deserve to die. And so, while presumably Bluebird tells him that he can't help them, well, Kevin decides he's going to try. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our next book, Nightwing, number 85. So there's Batman and Detective are covering the primary story of Fear State. Harley and Catwoman are covering the Poison Ivy angle. Nightwing is covering the Seer or Anti-Oracle angle. Where we left off, Oracle had seemingly summoned Nightwing to Gotham. When he arrived, he was ambushed by magistrate troops and was only able to escape with the assistance of Batman. After they had eluded their pursuers, Batman, they basically said, they had other things to do. Nightwing went to the clock tower to see what's going on with Oracle, who was now even more angry at Seer for having tried to basically have Nightwing killed. And so they're going to Oracle Site 2 to relaunch the Oracle network and hopefully find Seer. And Babs is doing so in a new Batgirl costume. So the issue begins with everyone who's linked to Oracle: the Batgirls, the Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman, being told that yes, the Oracle network is going dark for a little while. Also, Babs taunts Seer and destroys her clock tower setup. We get a flashback to Dick and Babs hanging out as Batgirl and Robin when they were younger. But they deal with some of the magistrate drones and make it to Oracle Site 2. But there was a fear gas bomb inside, and they get hit hard with it. Their worst fear is seeing the other one get killed. But Red Robin's there and able to get them out of it, and Dick and Babs kiss, which leads Tim to basically finally. But Seer has of course gotten into Oracle 2, and but here's the thing. While she may have mentioned out Fox facial recognition, Babs is able to figure out where she is through other things that she can see, background, so on and so forth. So, turns out that Seer is aboard the giant Saint Industries flying saucer. And so Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Robin are headed there. However, they're also informed that something is happening at the clock tower. The trio arrive just in time to see the clock tower blow up. More on that that will be covered in, well, next month's recap, covering the Fear State finale. So now for less integral stories, we've got Arkham City, The Order of the World, Part 1. Focuses largely on a GCPD detective, Detective Stone, and Dr. Jacasa Joy, formerly of Arkham Asylum, and they are trying to round up her various patients, including Ratcatcher, and any of the others that have escaped. However, one of the more dangerous ones being the Ten-Eyed Man, who it turns out Dr. Joy is actually, who's basically staying in Dr. Joy's home, and it's very much a case of it strikes me much more as being a case of the Ten-Eyed Man. Basically, Dr. Joy figuring, well, if he's here, he's not hurting other people. Some of the others that are brought up in this include Professor Pig and Mad Hatter. Dr. Phosphorus and Nocturna. And the chase of Mad Hatter in the issue leads to information being made public about what the Hatter was doing, which throws the people of Gotham City into even more of a panic, and leads to a person who was never an Arkham patient being severely beaten by people just because he looks like maybe he could be an escapee. Meanwhile, the Ten-Eyed Man is trying to put together a ritual to protect himself and Dr. Joy from the ghost of Dr. Arkham, the original Dr. Arkham. And yeah. Next up, we've got Batman Secret Files, Peacekeeper 01. We get more of Peacekeeper 01's Sean Mahoney's origin. So we already knew that he had been a guard at Arkham Asylum who was badly injured on A-Day. Harley Quinn, before Fear State began, had explained that she knew him from when she was on staff at Arkham, and that he was abusive towards the patients and had just a ton of insecurities. We also knew that he was had learned that he was from a long family of Gotham police, and in fact, James Gordon had basically ended that dynasty within the police department by falsely drumming out Mahoney's father on corruption charges. Turns out those charges weren't false at all. But so this takes place during the events of Batman 112 and 113, with Peacekeeper 01 hopped up on having gotten a face full of fear toxin. And as he runs through the city, he has flashbacks at various points. There's a bridge that is in part dedicated to his great grandfather. Only they didn't spell his last name right. Apparently, he also got brought around with sometimes late at night with his dad doing, doing basically he saw his dad doing corrupt cop stuff, including beating a guy to death. We also learn that when he was a teenager, Mad Hatter robbed a museum using a class of high school students. Among those students was Sean Mahoney. This, of course, this humiliates Mahoney's father. But there's also a moment after Sean sees his father beat the guy to death, where he kind of explains what's really going on, and that they let the small it's all about keeping the ecosystem in balance. It's kind of that thing. It's like, I'm only corrupt because I'm only doing this because if I don't, someone worse will. But it also turns out that he applied to join the GCPD on multiple occasions, and after one of those occasions, Commissioner Gordon actually spoke with him and explained that as long as he's commissioner, there is not a place on the Gotham City Police Department for Sean Mahoney, which led to him going to Arkham, where he became a guard. And, well, he opted one night to take his revenge on Mad Hatter. Swore up and down to Dr. Arkham and Joy that, Hatter was trying to escape, and he was just stopping him. He just had to get physical, Cameras in the cell, however, make it clear that that wasn't the case. That Mahoney went in there and beat on Mad Hatter. But during his travels through the city, he ends up at his father's bar, and on the plus side, he finally tells his dad that in some ways he kind of gets some therapy. He's saying, "Hey, I always wanted to be just like you, only I realize now you ain't shit. Why would I want to be like you? You're garbage." And he goes back. He doesn't kill his father. Their argument does get a little physical, but I think his dad's probably more scared than anything, and he goes back out into the city to back into the story that this is part of. But it's nice to see more of Peacekeeper 01's backstory. I have to admit to being extremely curious as to how things are going to play out with him over the course of Fear State, as well as post Fear State, or is the Magistrates even going to be a thing after Fear State? Next up, we've got Batman Urban Legends number 8. So not every story in Urban Legends, I want to say, is Fear State related. So we got Batwoman in Disinformation Campaign. She sees the earlier mentioned video of Cassandra Cain killing magistrate troops, but she's preparing to kill her sister. Her sister's dealing with her own issues. Montoya goes to talk to Kate, basically saying, "Hey, look. How legit can you find out if this is legit or not? Because, these people." But Kate decides she will. And of course, and she helps Cass, and it's a doctored video. But Seer contacts them. And basically says, I made the video, and I know who all of you are. Making it clear that she's sending, she has managed to get magistrate troops to McCain's apartment, where Kate's sister had almost had a bit of a relapse into Red Alice. But they didn't realize after she takes down the magistrate troops, they can't stay there. They need to get out of the city, but they don't know. They need to do, but they don't have anyone they can go to. But Kate's sister explains that, well, she's got some contacts. Only they won't listen to. They certainly won't listen to Batwoman, or help Kate Kane, or her sister Beth. But they will, however, help Red Alice. But we do have an Azrael story, which I feel like it kind of feels like it happens before Fear State. Um, Jean-Paul Val is working in a hospice. At night, he's going out as Azrael, but he's not killing. Batman comes to him and he even says, "Hey, I'm not killing anyone. The guy you're accusing me of killing, no, he did that himself." And he sees it, and that night as Azrael, Jean-Paul sees a dead body rise. Then we've got an outsider story, which takes place 30 years in the future. Duke is trying to make his way to a portal. Goes back in time to the present. Well, he doesn't. But the future Black Lightning does. We find out that the Outsiders have a new thing where you got basically 4 concrete members: Katana, Black Lightning, Rex Mason, and the Signal, and then an ever-changing 5th member. But it turns out that there's someone that they have to take down. Someone who got hit with fear toxin real bad when they were young, and it's evolved within them as further attacks on Gotham over the years, and so he now is able to, in an airborne manner, release what he's got going on. Which leads to all manner of hallucinations and some help from Red Robin. Though the story is only half over. Anyway, next up we've got I Am Batman #2, wrapping things up. And we've got Jace dealing with a bunch of militia types in Gotham. They apparently they're all being contacted through an intermediary, basically. But the GCPD are looking into the death of Anarchy. They've actually got someone who's claims to have done it, and well, someone who's been radicalized through reactionary online content. Kills a guy in a mask because he's figured, all the stuff, all of the reactionary content he's been consuming. Basically says you're doing you're protecting you're protecting everyone from this menace. But Yeah, it appears that it's Seer that is, in fact, getting all these reactionaries riled up. Those Seers never met with any of them. Commissioner Montoya goes to speak with, goes to convince Jason's mother to represent the kid accused of killing Anarchy. But yeah, as pretending to be Seer, Jay sets up a meet for various militia leaders, and yeah, he attacks and starts wailing on him. However, when it's believed that maybe he's not actually Batman, Jace removes the face guard of his mask to show that no, I'm not a robot. I'm a person. For the guy that he is Batman. That said, Seer got it and sent the actual Seer got that and sent that information out to the rest of the militia members. So now they're all on the hunt for Jace, and that is where the issue ends. Which will actually, that's going to be it for our recap. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.